In this lesson, we will learn about configuring RODC. First of all, we will explore the administrative tasks on a RODC. Then we will perform the configuration tasks on a RODC. After that, we will test out the RODC behaviors. And finally, we will sum up the lesson with the keynotes. In the previous lesson, we installed the RODC PVDC01 for Elgin Office. In this lesson, we will work with it. Here we logged into PVDC01. Let's open Active Directory users and computers. As you may notice, when the Active Directory users and computers tool open, it connected to our PVDC01, which is a writable domain controller. So let's switch it to PVDC01. We need to right click and click on Change Domain Controller. And here we can select PVDC01 and click OK. As you can see, after we click OK, the pop-up message saying that the selected domain controller is read-only. You will not be able to perform any write operation. So let's click OK. And here we can search for the account admin and click Find Now. And as you can see, we was able to find the Elgin admin account. Everything looks good. Now let's try to create a new user. Let's expand this and right click and in the All Tasks. As you can see, there's no option for us to create a new account. Let's try to create a new computer. And we do not see the option to create a new computer either, which means we cannot perform any write operation on a RODC. Now let's open DNS Manager and expand the forward lookup zones, and we will check the domain hq.it/skills.local zone and click Properties. As you can see, the zone type is Active Directory integrated, which means all the zone information has been replicated to the RODC. Everything looks fine, but let's try to create a new record. And as you can see, there's no option for us to create a new record for the DNS. Let's move on to RODC configuration tasks. As you may know, all the RODC configuration tasks can be performed on its properties. Here you can configure the password replication policy for the RODC. By default, the account operators, administrators, backup operators, deny RODC password replication, and the server operators groups are configured to deny the password of their members to replicate to the RODC. You can remove any of these groups from the policies. To configure the policy, click the Add button. Here you can allow the password of groups of users or computers to replicate to the RODC. These groups are usually locally to the RODC. You can also deny the password of groups of users or computers from replicating to the RODC. The best practices to configure the password replication policies are to keep the default deny groups. So all of these default deny groups must be kept. Then add any extra deny groups specific to your environment as the member of the deny RODC password replication group, which then be added to the password replication policy of all ROCs. This is to prevent the password of these members from replicating to any ROC. On the other hand, the allow password replication must be specific to users and computers locally to the ROC or the ones that administer the ROC. As you can see, we only allow Elgin users to replicate their password to these ROCs. By following the best practices, we need to allow Elgin computers and Elgin admins to replicate their password to this ROC also. In the Manage by tab of the ROC properties, we can delegate a user or a group who can administer the ROC. For the best practices, we should delegate an admin group instead of a user. Then configure the password replication policy to allow the admin group members to replicate their passwords to the ROC. The users in the admin group must then be authenticated to the ROC at least one time for their password replicated and stored in the ROC. As you can see, here we only configure an Elgin admin user. We should change it to a group. Before configuring the Elgin PVDC01 ROC by best practices, we need to create two groups. The first group that we need to create is Elgin admins. Here we type in the group name Elgin admins, then click OK. Then we need to add the Elgin admin user into the group. Here we type in Elgin admin, then click OK, then click OK. As you can see, we can add more users who can administer the ROC into the group. However, in this case, we just click OK. Now we need to create the second group named Elgin Computers. Here we type in the group name Elgin Computers, then click OK. Now we need to add the Elgin PCs into the group. As you can see, in order to search for the computers to add them into the group, we need to configure the object types to include the computers. So here we need to select computers, then click OK, then we type in Elgin PC, then click on check names. Here we select all the Elgin PC and add them into the group. That's it. We have just created the two groups that we need. Now let's delegate the Elgin admins group to administer the Elgin PVDC01 ROC. To do that, we need to click on the domain controllers and right click on Elgin PVDC01 and click on properties, and we click on the manage by tab and click on the change button. Here we type in the group name Elgin admins, then click check names, then click OK. As you can see, from now on, if we want to delegate any users to administer the Elgin PVDC01, we just need to add them into the Elgin admins group. So we just click OK, and that's it. To configure the password replication policy, we need to right-click on the ROC Elgin PVDC01 again, then click on Properties. Here we click on the password replication policy. Now let's add the Elgin admins group to allow their members' password replicated to the ROC. To do that, we need to click on the Add button. Here we select Allow Password for the account to replicate to this RODC. Let's select it and click OK. Here we type in the group name Elgin admins, then click on check names, then click OK. Next, we need to add the Elgin computers group to allow the computer's password to replicate to the RODC. To do that, we need to click on the Add button, then select Allow password for the account to replicate to this RODC again, then click OK. And here we type in the group name Elgin Computers, then click on Check Names, then click OK, and click OK. Thus is we have just configured to allow the members of the Elgin admins and Elgin computers groups to replicate their password to the RODC Elg PVDC01. To make the password of the Elgin admin user replicate and store in the RODC Elg PVDC01, we need to have the Elgin admin user authenticated with the RODC. To do that, we can simply log in to the RODC with the Elgin admin account. Here we type in the password and hit enter. Thus is we have just logged in and the password of the Elgin admin now replicated and stored in the ID database of the RODC. We just want to make sure it is the Elg PVDC01. Everything looks good. We have just restarted the RODC Elg PVDC01 and disconnected the one link to make sure the RODC has no connection to a writable domain controller. Let's now log in as the administrator. Here we type in the username as administrator, and then we type in the administrator's password, then hit enter. As you can see, the administrator cannot log in to the RODC because its password is not replicated to the RODC. Now let's log in as the Elgin admin. Here we type in the username Elgin admin and type in its password, then hit enter. As you can see, we can log in with the Elgin admin account fine because its password had been replicated and stored in the AD database in the RODC LPVDC01. Now let's ping the writable domain controller lpvdc01.hq.itivliveskills.local. As you can see, it has no connectivity to the writable domain controller. Therefore, the RODC can be used to authenticate the users whose passwords replicated to it, even when the site lost its connectivity to the entire network. This is the end of this lesson. Let's read the keynotes